Ah, Christmas time. The most magical time of the year where everyone spreads joy and wonder to those around them. The smell of hot cocoa and candy canes in the air. Presents abundant throughout the streets. And of course, beautiful sheets of snow that blanket the streets around us. Well, that's what I would say if I didn't live in Florida. But since I do live in Florida, it's hot as hell. It's not often we get to see the festive holidays celebrated in gaming. Usually because it's around the time of year where retailers push out games to players and consumers alike. However, there are a few outliers. And while I plan to talk about them, I think it's fair I discuss the true topic of the video, snow levels. I mean, it's the closest we're ever going to get to matching the holiday aesthetic. As a Floridian, I'm always in awe of this type of level as I never get to experience it. Don't get me wrong, I've seen snow. But the closest I can get to seeing it on a regular basis is by visiting Disney's Blizzard Beach water park. Unfortunately, I'm more of a Typhoon Lagoon kind of guy, but I'm getting off topic. Snow levels are beautiful, and I wanted to take the time to celebrate them, as I feel like they get a lot of hate, despite being so pretty. So put on your mittens, wrap that scarf around, and put on your heaviest jacket, because it's time to get started. Warning. Please do not wear any of the mentioned articles of clothing if you're from somewhere hot or from Florida. Let's get it over with.
It's cold!
Astrobot is not short of snow-related levels. Team Asobi just love to strut their stuff when it comes to their ice skating physics, with a total of, in the game, including the one briefly found in Astro's playroom. Fun fact, the Until Dawn cast can be found here in the level, and yet are nowhere to be found in Astrobot. Why is that? Anyways, out of all the ice-related levels found in the game, I think my favorite has to go to Creamy Canyon, found in the first galaxy of the game. This sweet take at a snow level brings the bright and colorful joy of ice cream to the platforming world, with cotton candy trees, vanilla snowmen, and all the sprinkles you can smack. Oh, the haptic feedback here is amazing. I'm always a sucker for when everyday items can be used to make up the environment. So using something as trivial as ice cream to make up the first snow level in the game is a neat touch. Plus, the Metal Gear Solid characters found in the level are pretty cool. Although, I don't really understand the correlation. Maybe someone can explain it to me in the comments. Anyways, another great level found in the game is the level that Team Asobi added for the holiday last year, Winter Wonderland. As a sort of Christmas gift, Team Asobi made this level dedicated to the festive holiday, as well as a bonus treat to play with the game's many power-ups, to help collect special VIP bots. Bots based off old-school video game characters like Rayman, Croc, Worms, and Gex, while the cherry on top of the fruitcake being Insomniac's take on the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Or in this case, Spider-Men. I think this is actually the first time I've played through an actual Christmas-themed level. Oh wait, never mind. Finally, a chance to talk about the lovable purple dragon, Spyro, in one of these things. And like the little bot, he's got a lot of snow levels in the franchise. Like, a lot. Anyways, the Crystal Glacier from Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, is on my list for one of the better snow levels in the series. I remember people not liking this level due to one of the optional objectives involving flaming these spiders that spawn infinitely. But personally, I don't find it that difficult. Crystal Glacier is also one of the shorter levels in the game, which means the level doesn't overstay its welcome unlike other levels in the game. The same can be said with Icy Peak from Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon. This level is absolutely stunning and an absolute blast to play through. Sure, the ice skating performance mission kinda sucks, with the camera angle being a complete nuisance, but overall it's still a fun level. On a side note, I remember not caring for Year of the Dragon when playing the Reignited trilogy, but when going for footage, I actually didn't mind it at all this time. The same can be said about Spyro's orange marsupial brother, Crash Bandicoot. He too has had an abundance of snow levels, whether they be him slipping on shoes or shredding the slopes. His icy themed levels have always been difficult. With Crash leaning on precise platforming, I've got to give the piece de resistance to the snow levels from Crash 4 It's About Time. These levels are tough and require high focus to get through, especially the Cortex level. His platforming windows are so tight to execute that you might as well pray before every attempt. As someone who has the platinum trophy, the perfect relic and even the time relic for these levels were insane to get. But this isn't a video dedicated to difficulty. This is about the environment. I've always theorized that every world in the game is Insanity Peak, but built differently to match whatever reality Crash and Coco happen to find themselves in. Anyways, the environment for these levels are cool, with the mix of undead sailors and mad science. Plus, the Cortex boss fight at the end of the gauntlet is awesome as well. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. It wouldn't be a PlayStacin video without mentioning them. They follow the platformer trend of thematic levels based around various environments, and a snowy mountain is definitely one of them. I wonder what the name of the said mountain is. Oh, Snowy Mountain. How original. This level is one of my favorites, as it has multiple branching paths and is home to some of the tougher platforming challenges. Who says ice isn't a hindrance? The tricky icy platforming to access the yellow eco-tanker, the hidden lurker cave to fight through, the Flut platforming challenge, and of course, a mountain of rolling snowballs. What's not to love? The only thing that might actually piss off a player is when breaking these metal boxes causing precursor orbs to get lost in the snow. Makes 100% completion a little tricky if you're not observant. The Sly Cooper series has 5 levels spread across the series that take place in the snow. 2 in China, 2 in Canada, and 1 in the Ice Age. Today, I'm discussing my favorite of the 5, Menace of the North, A. In the second part of the Jean Bison arc, the gang end up at a mysterious lumber mill on a quest to steal the Clockwork Talons. During the chapter, we rummage the snow hills, pickpocketing bear mouths, feeding bear mouths, and participating in the Canada Games. God, I love this operation for some reason. Having to sabotage the games that Jean Bison set up by using tools and traps that we set up throughout the chapter is peak Sly Cooper content, and doesn't hold a candle to the other chapters. And finally, and a bit of a late entry, we have Jellyfish Fields from the recently released Titans of the Tide, which shows the beautifully green fields of Jellyfish Fields, absolutely blanketed by snow, and takes home the gold for the most beautiful ice level found in a cartoon platformer. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and totally encapsulates how Jellyfish Fields would look like if it were enveloped in snow. This level also has the most platforming mechanics in the whole game, as it has Patrick and SpongeBob shifting between each other constantly throughout the level. Of course, it's more than just snow levels and ice mechanics. Sometimes it's all about the aesthetic. The use of snow is meant to highlight the beauty of the environment as opposed to homing pesky ice skating mechanics. Sometimes it's the entire theme of the game. The central setting of God of War Ragnarok, which we learn takes place during the prophesized Fimbulwinter. In Norse mythology, once Baldur dies, Fimbulwinter begins, which is supposed to set off Ragnarok. In the first game of the Norse saga, Kratos kills Baldur and sets it off. Typical Kratos, affecting the world around him with the death of a god. While the other realms experience different effects from it, Midgard suffers the worst of it. Eternal winter, mortals being able to survive the harsh cold winds, the Lake of the Nine completely frozen over, and the people are none too understanding of Kratos and Freya's beef with one another. Personally, I'm glad that Midgard was the only realm to be affected by severe tundras of snow, because if the entire game was littered with it, it would have gotten old pretty fast. Just like South Park Snow Day. This is going to be the first for the channel, but I'm going to be discussing a game that I don't actually like, but plays a major role in the topic of the video. South Park Snow Day is the third game in the South Park gaming universe, and has a decent premise for a game. While I personally can't relate, the kids make a whole day out of the weather phenomena and act their game from the first game, except by changing the gameplay style from turn-based to real-time strategy. They were trying to recreate a live service game, but it fell short. Don't get me wrong, the game was still hilarious, but it lost a lot of its charm switching over to the 3D style opposed to its predecessors. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is an interesting case, as it operates on the same map as its predecessor, but this time, it's winter. This is one of the few examples where wintertime is used as a backdrop, and doesn't enhance the gameplay in any way, shape, or form. Don't get me wrong, New York is beautiful in the wintertime, at least according to all media, but I kinda wish the game did something interesting with the gameplay mechanics. For example, maybe when swinging Miles' webs couldn't stick to buildings as much, so the player would have to think just where they'd want to go next. Surprisingly enough, Assassin's Creed Shadows actually does have an interesting mechanic for when the season turns to wintertime. One of the biggest mechanics found in Assassin's Creed is the emphasis of stealth, and Shadows isn't any different. From spring to autumn, Naue and Yasuke are able to hide in bushes in order to stalk their prey, but come wintertime, the bushes are dead and require new ways of stealthy navigation, which again goes a long way compared to Miles Morales. I can't believe that I'm praising Ubisoft over Insomniac, but that's where we're at in this timeline, I guess. Personally, I find Japan a much more beautiful setting compared to New York, as all the villages in the game look like they belong just as much as they do during any other season. For some reason, at one point, PlayStation had an unhealthy obsession with snowy mountain levels, to the point where it'll be the central setting for whatever content they were pushing. Case in point, Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds. I love the Horizon franchise because of how creative they get when covering our world into a post-apocalyptic nature-controlled sandbox to explore, and it's no different with the Frozen Wilds DLC from the first game. Aloy climbs to the top of the Cut, which is based on the real world's Yellowstone National Park, as well as the Grand Teton National Parks. Here, Aloy ends up on the hunt for one of Gaia's subfunctions, Hephaestus, who has been turning the local machines extremely hostile, as well as creating a new machine, the Fire Claws and Frost Claws, both extremely dangerous. Facing off against these feral machines always kept me on my toes, as well as hyped me up for future machine designs in the future. I also love the idea of one of the tall necks getting absolutely frozen by the surrounding environments. Until Dawn is another example of PlayStation going in on the snowy mountain aesthetic, as it is the central setting for the entire game. Josh is throwing a party at his family cabin, and things take a turn for the worse. While nothing is affected by the snowy environment, it's still a beautiful place to behold. If the mountain wasn't so haunted by Wendigos, or if Josh's sisters weren't murdered by
just a prank hand,
then I wouldn't have a problem spending a weekend here. Next on our PlayStation Snow Tour, we have The GOAT, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, which derails us from the jungly greens to the mountainous snowy mountains of Tibet. Yeah, I'm not that creative. Anyways, what makes these few chapters memorable is just coming off a massive train wreck and entering unknown territory with Yeti monsters, and of course, the city of Shambhala. You had to be there. Everybody I've ever met that's played Red Dead Redemption 2 will tell you that it's one of the best games on the PS4, as well as one of the greatest games of all time. They'll also tell you that Chapter 1 is one of the most boring video game sequences of all time. It has a slow start, but you just can't go on a snow level discussion without talking about the old Grizzlies. While it may not be everyone's favorite, or anyone's favorite, I do think it does an excellent job setting the tone for the game, as well as providing excellent tutorials for the game's various features and mechanics. I also like the idea that the game wants to introduce John the way they do. As someone who hasn't played the first game and didn't pay much attention to any of the marketing, can someone let me know if John was shown at all during trailers or promotion, or was it a bit of a surprise? Post down in the comments to let me know. I hope you guys are proud, because I've waited this long to talk about Kingdom Hearts, because we have the world of Arendelle, based on the hit movie Frozen. I know it's not a fan favorite amongst the community, but it is a great example of a mountainous snow level if I've ever seen one. Sora, Donald, and Goofy end up ascending the North Mountain 3 times throughout the story of the world, each time meeting up with new friends and new foes along the way. My favorite segment is the Olaf hide-and-seek minigame, as it takes place at this frozen meadow. It always felt like a peaceful place, despite Heartless attacking. This also serves as the home to one of my favorite boss fights in the game, Marshmallow. Look, I know I'm not the biggest advocate for the world, but I do think it's a fun level to explore. I think I'm actually one of the few people in the community that would love to see Square try again with Frozen 2, since I think they can make Elsa and Anna into fully functioning party members this time around. That is, if Square can ever decide to release more news about the next game. I know for a fact that I've missed a lot of great snow levels. I really need to find a way to record Nintendo content, as I know I'm missing a ton of content from their end of the gaming sphere. If I had to choose a favorite level from this long list of games I've mentioned in this video, I'd probably have to give it to Horizon Zero Dawn, just because the game is so beautiful and executes really good ideas with the environment Guerrilla gave us. But that's gonna cut it for this video. My comment question to you guys is, What is your favorite snow level? Post down in the comment section below for a chance to appear in the next video, and until next time, have a sumptuous day, until our next communion.